They've lost the plot.
Kansas just canceled the driver's license of thousands of transgender drivers in the
Today marks a very bittersweet moment in my transition because
we're suing Kansas for a law that invalidates transgender people's updated licenses. And what
the state of Kansas just invalidated every trans person's driver license.
Kansas just passed a bill that invalidates trans people's driver's licenses.
So you sent letters to trans residents in Kansas revoking their driver's license effective immediately. Yes.
This morning in Kansas, trans adults were informed that their driver's license is no longer valid, and I really want to put into perspective just how harmful this is in a place like Kansas.
An update on Kansas invalidating thousands of trans people's licenses overnight. Yes, the ACLU has picked up this case as expected and is suing the state of Kansas over Senate Law 244.
Stop telling trans people who live in Kansas to move out of the state. Don't you think they fucking know that by now?
Breaking news out of Kansas as they implement one of the most aggressive anti-trans legislation.
Another one bites the dust. The state of Kansas has joined several other states in their sick mission to make the lives of trans people exponentially more difficult.
Yeah, hey, so Kansas is revoking and invalidating all trans people's driver's licenses.
Hi, welcome back. Oh my God, this is gonna be a good one. So you can call me transphobic all you want. I saw this coming from a mile away. When you push and push and push and disrespect and act like entitled little brats and a-holes, this is what happens. You know, I just want to say that I've been living like this for 30 plus years, have my driver's license, even my birth certificate changed. Some of you might not be okay with it, but I coexisted in the world. I didn't try to make waves. I didn't just disrespect everybody. You know, that I saw this coming, and you know I've been saying it. And as far as I'm concerned, y'all deserve it. You deserve it because you didn't try to coexist. You tried to dominate. And I just, you know, I don't even know. I don't feel bad for you. I don't. One of the reasons I don't feel bad for you is because this is what happens when you act entitled to anything. It is an effing privilege to transition, and you're not treating it that way. You're treating it like you deserve everything. You don't deserve it. It takes a lot of work to do this. It takes a lot of work to understand it, and it takes a lot of work to coexist and for the rest of the world to understand. If you want respect, you better give it. But there you were, busting into the woman's room with beards and mustaches and wieners and acting like you get to have a wiener roast in there. Nobody can say anything. This is what happens when you do that shit. So that being said, I put on my cowboy hat because we're going to a rodeo. I'm not even kidding, man. I am just totally fucking, ooh. You know, I don't want to be this way. I really don't. But sometimes karma's a bitch. And when you act like a dick, this is what happens. So thank you for subscribing to my channel. Thank you for seeing what I'm trying to do here. And this is like, it's just gonna, shit's getting dismantled hardcore. Also, I don't know if you know, but Kansas has been trying to do this stuff. In my research here real quick, like 2023, this isn't new. They said they were going to do this a long time ago. So maybe since 2023, you should have reeled all the weirdos back in and told them to stop messing with women. Okay, so let's get into this because this is going to be good. I found some really good ones. They're whiny, whiny, whiny. They just sound whiny. They don't sound like we need to create a solution. Okay, the second one is really good.
Hi, I am calling on behalf of one of my friends who's a little scared to call for obvious reasons. I'm just wondering, so y'all just invalidated their license that you gave them without any notice. And they're wondering how...
Since 2023, they were trying to pass this. So that's not true. You had in 2023 to kind of start figuring out what's going on here. Also, this person is too scared to call on the telephone. Give me a break, okay? So Miss Karen here is going to call for you. Just wait. It just even gets like, and watch, the word invalidate is, these people love that word invalidate. You're not validating me.
They can, I saw that they're supposed to surrender their license that they got legally. They're supposed to surrender that because y'all have made it invalid overnight. And they don't know how to get anywhere to surrender it because they don't want to break the law. And since you invalidated their license, they have no form of transportation. So how do they surrender their license that you invalidated with no notice?
Here, I'll tell you, the bus. There you go. How about take the bus or the train, or how about get an Uber or like one of those scooter things you can rent? I mean, I can already tell you 5 different ways you can make it to the DMV without driving. Okay.
Is to my knowledge, the new one would be mailed, is how that would work.
But it's invalid right now. So how will you be driving them to work?
By the way, Karen's calling the Kansas State Senate, and this person is, I guess, answering the phone there. And then now Karen wants answers.
So I can't speak on like the whole bill itself, as I don't have enough knowledge. And
well,
I can't
my understanding is that their license is no longer valid.
Correct.
Right. So trans people can't drive in this state suddenly overnight with no warning, no chance to do the legal thing. And so how are they to get to their jobs?
The bus. Public transportation. Walk. Oh my God.
Ma'am, I'm sorry. I just can't speak on the
So we don't care that we are removing trans people's right to support ability to support themselves.
Wow. Just wow.
Overnight with no notice. It's not like they chose not to get a new one. You overnight changed the law and decided that trans people aren't allowed to drive. Do you understand how insane that is?
What I can
do you understand how bigoted that is? It's one thing to change the law, but...
You have reached the office of Senator Ty Masterson. Please leave your name.
Hi, we must have...
He hung up on her. So good.
We must have gotten disconnected.
Sure.
The fact that y'all made it so that trans people cannot comply with the law without losing their jobs overnight is astounding and shameful. You should be embarrassed. The entire country is watching, and you're all going to hell.
Oh, I'm so scared. Oh my God. What? First off, the entire country voted for this, just so you know. Secondly, who are you? You're not even a trans person, but you're going to butt your nose in and make sure that we're all going to go to hell. What about the trans people that, like myself, that are like, hold on, man. There's a difference between sex and gender. You all made that happen. If you would have just left it alone, okay, we were all doing great without all you idiots, the fringe trans group. You people, I told you, I've been saying it for years and years and years. This shit that these people did is going to destroy everything that many of us and my elders fought for us to just live a fucking life. And now, because you little greedy motherfuckers just wanted to have everything, and anyone could be a woman and anyone could be trans, it's all falling apart, which it was going to fall apart when you lie, steal, and cheat. And if you look on the driver's license, it says sex. It doesn't say gender. It actually says sex on there. So you made this happen. You actually made it happen. Oh, man. They'll never admit it. Never in a million years will they admit it.
Oh, hey, Kansas, Oregon here. You need to fuck some shit up. Okay, your state literally just invalidated our trans community's driver's license because they needed to be the first state to be the biggest fucking piece of shit in America. Okay, now I know Kansas is not filled with a bunch of boot-licking, Trump-humping motherfucking idiots. I have to believe that Kansas is filled with lovely people who accept humans for fucking humans. This is disgusting, and this is a precedent for the rest of the United States. And I am going to say this right now. They would never try this shit in a blue state. Because a blue state says, we welcome everyone. We accept everyone.
Oh my God.
Kansas, you are fucking garbage.
We accept everyone except anyone who voted for Trump or doesn't like certain kinds of things. Are you crazy, lady? Of course you're from Portland. This is unbelievable to me that these people are so stupid. Also, I don't really think it's the trans person either. Like, everyone is so upset about it who's not even trans. And they're just like, you need to kick some shit. And yeah, that's helped. That's helped your party. That's helped you liberal Democrats make shit happen. It's actually made it worse. The violence in the transgender community, the one I just did yesterday or the day before, whatever it was, a 16-year-old kid. Like, what's wrong with all you? Don't you see what's going on that the rest of the world sees? You're inciting violence over a law. We live in a country where laws happen because people in our country, American citizens, vote those laws in. You might not agree with it. You might not like it. Move somewhere else or figure out how to change the law. But that's the whole point of living in this country. We live in a republic, a democratic. We have law. We have voting. All of it. And stop saying that trans people can't drive. What? So now because your sex marker doesn't go along with what you fantasize about, you can't drive a car? What? Who's ever going to even look at that ID unless you do some stupid shit and get pulled over and you got to show it to the cop? I'm just going to say something right here. I lived with an ID that said female for years. And people would be like, what? And I'd be like, yeah, they made a mistake. It's all good. People just didn't even give a fuck. They barely even ever look at that marker. This unvalidating, this, you can't work now. You can't. What? Bullshit. Total bullshit. Total bullshit. They're trying to use it as a scapegoat. They totally are. And also, I helped fight for those laws to change those things. And you guys fucked everything up that I put my fucking time and energy into fucking changing and helping us move forward. And now all you fucking losers, I'm sorry, my language is a little bit out of control, but it's like, how dare you? How effing dare you?
Trans people's IDs in Kansas are now immediately invalid. If you got your sex marker changed on either your driver's license or your birth certificate, you probably got this letter saying that your ID is now void. And you now have to get a new one at your own expenses. So let's critically think about this. The entire state of Kansas is invalidating the IDs of trans people. At the same exact time, they're trying to pass the SAVE Act. You know, the same one where you need an ID to vote.
But why can't you are so full of poo. You can use your ID to vote. It's just not going to reflect your fantasy gender. That's all. No one's told you can't vote. You are gaslighting, mixing words. You're not being completely truthful here. You are making shit up. Nobody's saying trans people can't vote. Ever.
They are getting rid of trans people's right to vote. God. So they're invalid if your sex on your either birth certificate or driver's license does not meet your sex assigned at birth.
You're not assigned shit except for what you got there, your biology, what the doctor sees. Sorry, but when you got that penis, the doctor's going to say you're a man. When they got that vagina, the doctor's going to say you're a woman. Deal with it. What is trans? What is actually being trans if you don't understand biology? So frustrating.
But if you change your birth certificate, aren't you changing your sex assigned at birth? Like, isn't that the point of a birth certificate? I could just not know. But there's probably millions of trans people who are doing this and millions of trans people who are going to commit voter fraud. This was sent to 1,500 people. If we look at the official census for Kansas, there is roughly 3 million people in the state. So this is math. With that, we can figure out what percentage of trans people there are that are being affected by this in Kansas. 1,500 trans people.
Guess what? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares if it's one trans person or 2 million trans people. You brought this on yourself when you made women feel unsafe because fake ass dudes were saying they were trans. Why don't you just say that? If you said that, I guarantee you shit will start changing in your favor, but you're never going to say it. You're never going to say it because for some reason you think everyone needs to be validated. Oh, wow. Well, you'll just have to go down with the trash in the garbage disposal. This is from 2023, and this person's name is Erin, and they're a trans woman who spreads all kind of insane shit and is totally pro-transing kids. So, and married to some trans woman politician, I don't know, somebody. So this person's constantly putting out, but this is from 2023. Listen.
Just announced today, transgender people in the state of Kansas may have the gender markers on their driver's licenses and birth certificates revoked and sent back to their assigned sex at birth. This would be unprecedented. In fact, it would be the first time that the state has sought out to find all transgender residents in the state and revoke their gender markers. The only state that does not allow you to change your gender marker on your birth certificate is Tennessee, and even they allow it on your driver's license. However, because of several laws passed this year, trans people in a few states might see the return of their gender markers to their assigned sex at birth.
So, assigned sex at birth. Oh my God, they just... Also, this is from 2023, so you knew it was coming. You effing knew it was coming. So stop acting like you're all shocked that it passed, okay? It passed because you pushed too hard. You pushed too hard. Many Democrats left your party, including me, okay? Because we just not going to deal with your bullshit, okay? Many people in this country are not going to deal with your bullshit. If you would have just kept your shit, your head down, did your shit, got your job, got your family, did everything you needed to do, none of this shit would be happening. I fucking guarantee you, it would not be happening. But here we are, 2023 that's from. I thought that was quite interesting. Okay, here's another trans woman.
Hi, I'm Avery Rowland. I'm a transgender woman in Kansas, and today I got a letter from the Driver's License Bureau saying my license is invalid, effective midnight, because that's when it goes into effect. So at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, I have to go to the DMV and get a new license because it's invalid. There's no grace period. They're not paying for this. They're not paying to replace it. I drive 25 miles to work. I cannot drive 25 miles without a driver's license because if I get pulled over without a license, I go to men's prison, and no. I can't fucking do that.
I don't know about that. I've driven without a driver's license. You get a ticket. I might be wrong in Kansas, but here you don't go to jail in California. Maybe they'll take your car away, but I got a ticket. So I don't know. I just don't, something about this I don't trust. I don't trust. Take the bus.
So tomorrow morning I have to take off work. I have to spend my own money, my own time, and replace the license. They could mail me a new one. They know who everybody is. The letter was waiting for me when I got home in the mailbox. They can mail me a new one. They can mail me a license that's updated and just invalidate the other. But they don't.
They could.
They make us jump through these fucking hoops.
You have to do that for your passport too, just so you know. Everyone has to do that.
Because Kansas hates trans people.
Then move. Then effing move. Sorry, but move. If you're really not comfortable in the state you're in, either make change or move your ass into another. Go to San Francisco, where you'll be welcomed with open arms. There's a fucking what is it called? Like a trans district. It's called trans district. It's so creepy. Just move there. Nobody cares. Like, fuck, man. All you people do is complain about shit. Like, how's it feel? Huh? How does it feel not to have everything you want? Doesn't feel good, does it? Sure doesn't. Here's a non-binary woman bitching.
I actually grew up half of my life in Wellington, Kansas. There are some really good people in Kansas, so I'm not going to say that they're all bad, because I have a lot of love for my roots. But for those of you who don't know, Kansas, last night, passed a law that all trans people's licenses are now invalid. And that they are required by law to surrender them at their nearest DMV and either register as male or female and get one shipped to them. They'll have to register as whatever is on their birth certificate. Do you know how fucking insane that is?
No.
That means that right now in Kansas, a state in our country, trans people cannot drive. That means they can't go to work.
What are you talking about? They can't drive. This made up shit. Who said you can't drive? You can't drive if you don't get your license fixed, for sure. But go get your license fixed and you can drive just fine. And no one's ever going to see your driver's license unless you fucking get pulled over. My God, everybody, this is so frustrating because they're making it fucking insane. Secondly, this would never have been happening if people, like mostly dudes, using the trans space to validate their fetishist weird shit. And you and I both know that was happening. So they had to do this for the safety of women. That's what's pissing you all off. That's what's pissing you all off. Guess what? You don't get to just be what you think you are. That's not how the world works. That's not how it works. When you started invalidating biology, people were like, what? We can't let that happen. We cannot let you guys all just change reality because you think you're more special than everybody else. Doesn't work that way. Sorry, but your non-binary status is now revoked. Before I move to the next one, I wanted to read this one thing because I think it's kind of interesting. They're all such a bunch of fucking pussies. So this trans guy who got his ID fixed, okay? Since I started living, he's 21 and he got his license and he's had to do it 4 times in Kansas. Okay, so then since I started living as myself, I always knew that who I am was always going to be subjected to legislation. Yeah, I was always going to be politicized. That's not true. That's just not true. Alvarez spoke about the fear that comes with the passage of SB 244 for the trans community in Kansas, especially the bathroom bounty section. It is uniquely draconian and cruel to basically police trans. Okay, so this is the part that's important. As for the ID demands, he noted that whenever a trans person uses their license, you are outing yourself to every single person that you give your ID to, whether that's a state official or someone at a store or at a desk. You fucking people out yourself every day by calling yourselves trans. Who are you kidding? You don't live as men and women. You live as trans people. Now all of a sudden that's like a bad thing and you're going to out yourself. You out yourself. You wear t-shirts and flags and hats and fucking dolls. And it's just like literally everything you have is trans related. Don't pull that fucking card. You're lying. You're not a transsexual who's trying to blend into the world. You're trans identified. Maybe that's what they should have on the license. Maybe they should just have a little fucking trans flag that you click and you're trans. How about that? So before I play this last one, I wanted to tell you that along with this driver's license law, they are also including the bathroom ban provision for trans people. The bill known as SB 244 also bans transgender people from using bathrooms in public buildings that match their gender identity and creates a sort of bounty hunter system. In which citizens can sue transgender people they encounter in the bathroom for $1,000. So basically, if a woman goes into the women's bathroom and sees a dude in there, you're up shit's creek without a paddle, dude. So get out. Okay, no more of this bullshit. Okay, and I'm telling you, what's going to happen is a lot of other states are going to see this and they're going to follow suit. Mark my words, they're totally going to fucking do it. So all you fucking idiots who don't pass and don't make a point, and anyone can be trans, you're all fucked. Okay, why don't you try to play your little game now? Let's see how that works. Okay, it's not. There was a part in here, I can't find it right now, but it basically said that this was really for the protection of women, which, the bottom line is that's what this is really all about. It's all about this bullshit, trans women are women and trans women going into women's bathrooms. And eventually it was all going to come down to this. And, if you don't believe that has a lot of part of why this is happening, then you have your head in the sand. Let me play this last one from Osmond Gold, which I really love this guy, but he makes a lot of sense. Listen to this.
Let me go and show you guys this. So it looks like Kansas is now making it to where all Kansas issued trans driver's licenses are now invalid. And this was effective tomorrow, and this is today. It already happened. It did. It already happened. So they're just turning it off. And that's it. And so, basically, exactly. And so, I don't really have like a very strong opinion on this, if you want me to be honest. But I can see what the logic there is, right? I mean, like if you were born a male, you're a male. Like, that's it. You can't do anything about that. You can't change it. And on the driver's license, I don't have my wallet right there next to me, but it says sex and not gender on the driver's license, as far as I know. I could be wrong about that.
No, it does.
And you can't change your sex. The only debate is if you can change your gender. So at the end of the day, that's it. Yeah, exactly. And I was born of them. Is there a DMV drag show today? I don't think so, right? And yeah, you guys can check yours, but that's it.
So he makes great sense. Like, that's it. Like, come on, you can't change your sex. Okay, I didn't change my sex. If I have to go back to female, whatever. I don't really care. It makes a good conversation piece when I travel the world. I'm too old and jaded at this point, and I don't really give a shit. I know who I am and what to do. And like, these are such entitled brats, and they don't even realize, how did these laws how did people before them live? How did trans people move through the world before these little fuckers? We just did it. Okay, we didn't make a big deal out of it. We tried to help to make it so it was easier for us and you, okay? Because we wanted to be part of the world. We don't want to be separate from you. I don't want you to see me as something else, even though I'm pretty sure a lot of people do, but whatever. I don't really even care about that. So, there's so much immaturity around all of this shit, and this was bound to happen. Go and look at all my older videos. I told you this was going to happen. It's like, I see the future. Okay, so with that, thank you guys all for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for helping this channel grow. I'm gonna do this next one that I have also about another law that just passed. They love to say invalidating trans people. Yeah, it's all coming down. It's all coming down hard.
But let's get into somebody that did give you some heat. Sought number 8, Buck Angel. Now, Buck Angel was famous for being a transgender star, and Buck Angel.
Okay, see what I mean? They're literally bringing up. Do you know the last time, to the people out there didn't know that I was actually in the adult entertainment, adult being the key word, 20 years ago. That's a 2 and a 0. But they continue to, I'm not an adult film star anymore. I haven't been for 20 years. But for some reason, I've done a million other things besides adult entertainment. But they do it in order to sideline my voice. I really believe it. Okay? They do it to sideline me as an intelligent person, a person worthy of having a conversation. They do it to degrade me. I know it. But you can't do that because, first off, I'll tell you right now, I do not in any way, shape, or form think that what I did in the adult entertainment business is bad. No one asked you to watch it, and no one will ever ask you to watch it, okay? It's in a very specific space. So why? They come straight out the gate with adult film star. I'm not an adult film star.
Angel was
a woman pretending to be a man.
Woman pretending to be a man that had a...
Right. I agree. I'm pretending to be a man. Yep. That's right. Doesn't hurt my feelings.
Vagina, but had all the features of a man. And he used to go on the Howard Stern show, and he looked so bizarre because...
What is bizarre? What do you think that means? Bizarre. Doesn't hurt my feelings. What do you guys think bizarre means? Do you think that means that they got freaked out because I look so much like a man? I think that's what it means. I think because you remember this is a man fest. Don't forget what we're watching here. We're literally watching a man fest. The energy with these guys, right? So because I pass as a man so well, even naked, I'm bizarre. It's kind of funny to me.
It was a man, but then they had a vagina. I mean, I've never seen a vagina, but
I actually have a vagina. Yes, I do.
But it just
gets confusing.
It does get confusing. So let's see.
I met Buck in person. It's an odd experience.
Yeah, you had Buck on the
Right.
show.
Yeah,
Wow, dude. So you and Buck are close.
Face to face, you go, huh? And then you hear Buck talk, and you go, oh.
Well, let's hear Buck talk.
Okay, so let's talk about my voice a little bit. Let's talk about my voice, and let's talk about Josh's voice, okay? So let's talk about Josh's voice. He kind of has a high-pitched, female-ish voice, right? So how is my voice different from Josh, who's a biological male, right? And my voice as a biological female. So you see, I know the things they pick. They pick my voice and they pick my vagina. Two things. They always pick those two things to sort of out me. I mean, I don't even care about my voice. If I cared about my voice, I would have gone to voice training a long time ago. But Josh's voice isn't so masculine. You know, I could make my voice masculine, like super. I could really talk like this right now and try to be. That sounds ridiculous. I really don't care about my voice. But if you notice, those are the two things. Okay, so let's go.
Talk on shot number 8D.
You know, I held off again. I've been holding off a lot on these. What I call grifter posers.
That's a gay man.
They're not
A gay
trans,
woman.
but I've been holding off.
Or that's a gay.
So now they're trying to figure out my sexuality. So now they're calling me a gay man, and then now they're calling me a gay woman. You see what's happening here? I hope you see what's happening.
A woman, yeah, gosh, it gets so
confusing. But I don't have a choice now. It just has to be done. They are destroying everything we've worked for, and they're making a fool out of all of us.
He's a trampa? How can you be a
when
trampa?
When you start doing that, it's gay. Alex, come on, you can't be that stupid. Really? Alex, how can I be a trampa?
How can he have kids if he's trans?
So now I'm gonna, and now the question comes up as kids. Okay, now here comes the kids. How can he have kids? These people are actually stupid. Here's the part where I'm like, I really liked you, Josh. I think you did a great job here. Okay, and I think you did a great job of grifting and doing all of it. But now, why are you guys trying to tear me apart? I'm not understanding why you're trying to tear me apart. Do I expose something that you two are not comfortable with? I have to push back on you a little bit.
Must have.
Everyone's
Buck did have a
questioning
baby.
whether or not this
Brandon,
person
Google
is
if Buck
actually
had a baby.
trans. Now, to answer that question from an actual, if I'm a biological female, I could have a baby. You guys were just talking about biology 10 minutes ago, and now you don't understand how a biological female can have a baby? Really? Even though I didn't have a baby, by the way, I adopted. So, transsexual person.
An actual
I would say
transsexual.
no. In my opinion,
fake.
actual transsexual. No, I do not believe this person is trans. But see, I called it a long time ago. In the new
He's the real
definition of
faker on the
what
fake
trans
faker.
is, maybe they're trans because that definition is not what I am. It's a different definition, and these people are all about self-IDing, and anyone can be trans. And here is the disaster that comes from anyone can be trans.
From your community,
and you don't need a
From his community.
diagnosis.
Your community.
And bam! They didn't do their research on me. You don't bring somebody like me up there and try to tear me apart. It is not my community, Josh and Alex. And I've said it a million times over. If you actually listen to me, I said, I am not part of the LGBTQIA pee-pee poo-poo community. All of my effing videos on YouTube are about exposing the grift. And that's why, Josh, you were on, because I am not part of the LGBTQIA or trans activism. I am against kids transitioning. I am for adult-only space. I am for gender dysphoria. I call it a mental disorder, everything you said earlier. Yet there you are trying to call me something else. This is the part where I'm a little bit disappointed. And everyone can do it.
On me.
So I'm not blaming it on you, Josh. I've never blamed it on you. That is not what I said in my video. Never have I blamed it. Did I blame it on Josh? Never. This is the part where if people want to find common ground, Josh, maybe me and you should have a public conversation. Maybe you should come on my show and maybe me and you can have a talk. Because you said earlier that you believe this exists. And you said earlier that you believe in gender dysphoria. And you said earlier that you believe in mental disorder and you believe in the DSM-5. But here you are trying to tear me apart. Okay. And saying all these things. First off, if you knew me, you would know I did not have a baby. Okay. That I adopted a kid and that I am a parent. Okay. And that I do care. So So here I am publicly saying to the world and to you, Josh, let's have a public conversation about it. And then maybe you and I together can now make a more powerful impact when I agree with what you did as being a very positive thing in a sense of exposing, but you cannot discount that I am here, okay? And don't try to shame me for the work I do or the work I have done. And don't try to shame me for speaking out, because that's not building bridges. That is not building bridges, and that is not helping. And in fact, now you're going to make me double think about what you did. And what was your ultimate goal in doing this? What was your ultimate goal? To make money? Because I'll tell you what, me and you, all of us in this room here know this guy made a lot of money on TikTok. This guy made a lot of money on OnlyFans. This guy made a lot of money being on shows. So was that your ultimate goal, Josh? Or was your ultimate goal to expose the grift? I'd really like to know. To get attention. That's what I think. Why I'm saying that is because this is why that is dangerous and why it does not reflect what an actual real transsexual person is.
A real pretender.
I know.
Okay, there you go. That's hypocrisy. I'm going to tell you right now. Hypocrisy, Josh. You just said at 20 minutes in on your interview that you believe that transsexual people exist, that gender dysphoria is a mental disorder. You believe all of it, but here you are saying I'm a pretender. What is it? This is the stuff that is so infuriating to me. Okay, I am willing to meet all of you in the middle. I am willing to be honest about who I am, but you've got to let me live in this world, okay? Because I will not be okay with you telling me that I don't exist. And I will not have all of these sort of shameful rhetoric things being said towards me when I have proven after 32 years, not only of hardcore mental health care, of advocating for no children getting transitioned, for advocating for adult only space, for advocating for everything that you said earlier as a healthy thing, but now you're turning on an elder of the transsexual community. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to talk about the queer surgeon. Creepy. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, liking, commenting, all the stuff you're doing. It's really making my channel go so great. And I really love doing these videos because we're really getting these people seen in what they're doing. So this guy, Dr. Blair Peters, or Peter, or whatever, I don't really care. He is a queer surgeon out of Oregon. He practices at OSHU. And so last week on Instagram, he was going to have a talk with Dr. Williams, who's the head of the plastic surgery, on, just sit down for this one, gender affirming surgery for minors. Surgery and minors. Gender affirming. Have we lost our minds? This guy is the biggest creep. But I talked about going on because I wanted to hear. I'm going to show you this and then I'll tell you next because he blocked me. He actually blocked me from watching it. That should have all your red flags up because if he was so secure in gender affirming surgery for minors, why would he block me, an elder of this community? Why wouldn't he want to have a conversation with me? Because I'm completely against it. So he doesn't even want to have the conversation. That should be huge red flags for everybody. So let me bring this up real quick here because I think it's important that you see this and we can start from there.
Hi everyone, Dr. Blair Peters here. I wanted to highlight this really important Instagram live session that is happening next week with myself and Dr. Stephen Williams, the current president of the American Society of Plastic Surgery. This discussion is going to be focusing on the recent statement from ASPS to the media in regards to gender-affirming surgical care for minors. And we are really going to break down this statement and highlight the ways in which this statement has been misrepresented, in particular by the right-wing media. This discussion will be based in facts, evidence, lived experience, and expertise. We're going to highlight the ways.
Oh my God. And then he blocked me. Luckily, I have cool people, all of you that watch, and somebody went in and recorded. I'm not going to show the whole thing because there's a really one important part that I want you to hear. But, you know, go ahead and try to block me, dude. No way. I'm exposing you. Not just me, but a lot of us are because you're a creep. Number one, you have an agenda. I really don't think doctors should be coming into this thing with such an agenda. The facts remain that we should not be giving kids any kind of medication, especially irreversible. What part of irreversible don't you understand? I don't get it. Surgery is insane. Surgery is basically you're done. You're not going back. Who operates on minors? Okay, this is actually gender affirming surgery for youth, for minors, whatever you want to call it, adolescents. It's sick and it's weird, okay? So the fact that he blocked me just cracks me up. So you think you can keep anyone out by blocking them? That you're just a weirdo. So now I want to show you this because I think it's important that you kind of understand who we're dealing with here. You probably already do. I want you to see this YouTube video from OSHU where he works. And it's sort of like, to me, it's a propaganda piece. And it's meet Dr. Peter, meet him and get to know him. So yeah, let's get to know him.
I myself went through my own sort of gender identity and exploration of my own queerness. And as like a teenager and young adult, I clung to the term gay because that's all I had. That's all I knew. But it never felt right. I never felt at home in that label. And it was over time as I started engaging more and more with the queer, trans, and gender diverse population that I really felt comfortable and started encountering people that looked like and felt like I felt and learned the language that they used, and then really found the labels that I apply to myself, which are queer, gender diverse, and that's where I live. I'm Blair Peters. I use he, they pronouns. I'm a plastic and reconstructive surgeon at OHSU, and I specialize in gender affirming and peripheral nerve surgery. I describe gender affirming surgery as using surgery to help someone physically actualize their internal sense of self. So I view surgery as changing something that...
So this guy believes surgery is helping people. Now, no doubt, I'm totally for any adult to have surgery. I had it. It would be hypocritical of me not to say anybody who chooses to have any kind of plastic surgery, whether I agree with it or not, should be able to do that as an adult. This guy is talking about children, okay? Children. And like, first off, okay, great. You're a gay man who decided that you didn't like the label gay, so you wanted to be a queer, non-binary, he, they, whatever. Go ahead, do it. And it probably might make even some patients feel comfortable being around you. I totally get all that. But what I don't get is when you bring an agenda to the table as a doctor, isn't the whole oath of a doctor to do no harm? To be a transsexual person, okay, you have to go through a lot of therapy. You have to understand what you're getting yourself into. You have to be honest with these people, doctor, queer surgeon, that they can never go back. They can never go back. You're not being honest. You're not. I do not feel that you're being honest. You're using this in some way to actually, I really feel like, deal with your own stuff, okay? So that being said, my opinion, let's move on to this part because this is actually creepy.
For the first time, and you can see that you've just lifted this huge burden off of them completely. Or, I have an adolescent patient that hasn't been going to school for months and is completely socially isolated and is having just like an extremely difficult time. And they come back to clinic 2 months after top surgery and they're like this exuberant teenager in school.
Wow.
Planning the rest of their life, thriving all of a sudden. And there's so few things.
So what happens, doctor, when this adolescent, this young person that you just did top surgery on, and they're so happy right now because everyone's giving them accolades, what happens when this person decides that they made a mistake? Are you going to own up to it? You're not. There's no way you're going to, because it is a 50-50, maybe even more chance that this young person somewhere down the road will decide that they made a mistake. Why couldn't this young person wait until they were old enough after lots of therapy to decide, I really do want to make this choice and I really do think no, I really feel like this doctor is like, I'm going to operate on you. And now look how happy this kid is. Are you in this kid's life for the rest of their life? Are you going to see when this kid starts to grow older what's going to happen with it? No, you're not. You're actually not. I cannot believe you are advocating for adolescents to have top surgery. What is happening? Here's the recording I have from the actual meeting that he had from Instagram where I was blocked. And hold on. You're going to hear what he's going to say right here.
It's just no longer an option. I don't see how the quality of data that people would need would ever come to fruition if there is no ability to provide care. I think we have to get better as we go and react to it in real time as that data becomes available. But I find that argument very counterintuitive when people say we need more high quality evidence, but we just want to shut it down now.
Yeah, and
basically, do you hear what he's saying? He actually said, well, in a nutshell, he said, you all want the data, you all want to see the data, but how do we get the data? We can only get the data if you let us operate on these children, and then it's just sort of like hit or miss, and like that's the only way we're going to know whether it works or not. Are you actually kidding me? You think that that is actually okay to do? Whose kids are you going to use? Whose kids get to be the ones who are the guinea pigs? Okay, who gets to be those kids? That's what Dr. Queer Surgeon is advocating for. He literally said it right there. If we do not use these children as experiments, how are we going to get the data? What is happening? This guy is a psycho. He's an actual psycho surgeon. I can't. I just can't. I'm very mad. I will put all the links to where you can find out who this is. I think we need to make a huge complaint against this person. I do not believe he is advocating for anything healthy for this community. Okay, no child should ever be doing any kind of irreversible surgery. He is focused on these children. He is advocating for surgery for minors. Actual gender affirming surgery for minors. Those words altogether make my head hurt. People, what are we doing? How are we letting people like this even be part of our community? He has an agenda. This should not be a thing. It should not. I'm a 32-year transitioned female to male. I will not advocate for this. No child is trans. The child needs therapy. The child needs time to grow. Then as they become an adult, go for it, kiddo. Make your choices. Thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it very much. It means a lot to me that you see what I'm trying to do here, but I'm going to make a funny one next because I just can't keep doing this without putting the other ones in there and making fun of the people on TikTok because it's totally out of control. Anyway, I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Like, subscribe, get this to someone who needs to see it. Let's put an end to this nonsense. Gender affirming surgery for minors. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to talk about this puberty blocker scandal where this Dr. Olson here in Los Angeles, and I know exactly who she is, she did not release the findings of the puberty blocker study. But before we get into that, thanks for liking and thanks for subscribing to this channel. It's really growing and I do appreciate it so much. Honestly, I can't do it. I say it every time because I do appreciate you very much. This is a little bit more serious one because it's just unbelievable. But we all knew this, right? We just knew it. And the fact that the doctor who got funding from the United States government to fund this study, I think in 2015, and then did not release the findings because she didn't like the outcome, basically is what she's saying. But she's actually trying to say that she didn't release it because she didn't want to weaponize the findings. No, I think pretty much you didn't like the outcome of the study, so you weren't going to release it. It's funny, but it's not funny. So I found this great video from one of the shows that I watch called The Hill, and I'm gonna react to this video because it's gonna make it a little bit easier to talk about it. So let's do that.
So get this, a government-funded study about puberty blockers for transgender teens went unpublished. Why? Because of politics. At least that's what the lead doctor of the research told the New York Times. Dr. Joanna Olson Kennedy spearheaded the $10 million research in 2015. It was in
$10 million research, okay? I know exactly who this doctor is. Now, I want to say something that a lot of you don't know. I actually was for transitioning kids, I think about maybe 10 years ago. I thought it was a great idea. I really do. I'll always be honest about that. And I actually met this doctor, and I know all about this doctor and very much know about this hospital. I think it's the #1 hospital for children transitioning, and she has been a championing the puberty blocker thing forever. And so this doctor is really one of the leading doctors who wants to give kids puberty blockers. So I just want you to know that. And then once I really started doing my research around it, I just backed off of this and just have been disgusted by the whole thing since I started to really look into it and really realize that it's really the stupidest thing we could ever be doing to these young kids. But here we go. Listen more.
Tended to show providing trans adolescents with puberty blockers, drugs that prevent the development of breasts or a deepening voice, for instance, that would lessen depression and distress from gender dysphoria. Researchers recruited 95 trans teens from across the country, gave them these drugs, and watched what happened. Fast forward 9 years later, the results show not so good conclusions. In fact, there was no evidence whatsoever that puberty blockers improved the patient's mental health.
Wow. Really? No evidence. None whatsoever. None. 9-year study. Okay, like what's going on here, and how can you not release the findings for this? I think this doctor needs to be, first off, lose their license because they're not doing the thing they need to do, and they have a personal connection to this on some level. So they're not another wingnut doctor who just wants to use your kid for these experiments. And then when it doesn't work, the doctor's not going to be honest about the fact that it doesn't work. It is so disgusting. And I, as a transsexual, am disgusted by these people who are in this trans space, who are doing so much damage for us adults to be able to transition, okay? By doing stuff like this, no one's ever going to believe that this is something that can actually work for people like myself. And that's the damage, not only to these young kids who should never be put on this or never, ever be put in a position like this, but a doctor like this. Where is the, what happened to doctors doing good? What happened to doctors helping us? What happened to doctors? Isn't there an oath? Do no harm? What is happening? And the fact that this person got $10 million to do the study.
Dr. Olson Kennedy, a prominent trans advocate in the medical community.
Also, that's the other thing I want to say. Trans advocate. So this person is like an activist, right? Should a doctor be an activist? No, a doctor shouldn't be an activist because then they're biased on the whole thing. They're not coming into it with an open mind. They're coming into it with, I'm going to do this. This is really important. I believe this is what can. Look up Dr. John Money, okay? And when you look up Dr. John Money, you're going to see another wingnut doctor who did wingnutty things to people thinking that they're going to do all this stuff. It's like, you know how grounded I am around my transition. I did not change my sex. Never will my sex be changed. My God, how many times do I have to say it? It's ridiculous. Only an actual adult after years of mental health can even understand. You're telling children that they can change their sex and that puberty blockers are going to help them become a boy or a girl. It's insane.
Admitted to the New York Times that she withheld the results of the study because of the overall political climate. Quote, I do not want our work to be weaponized. Wow. It has to be exactly on point, clear and concise, and that takes time, end quote.
This is what I keep saying. We have become a political space, okay? This shouldn't even be talked about. This is a personal thing for adults, okay? So now trans has become political. As you see, it's literally a politicized space now. And so kids are being politicized. Trans kids are kids. Like, it's just insane what's happening to these children. So now she doesn't want to release the study because she thinks it will be weaponized and used against it. That should never even be part of the conversation.
Trans issues have been an issue on the campaign trail, with Donald Trump saying that Kamala Harris supports government-funded sex changes for inmates and illegal migrants.
She does.
The online community, including none other than Elon Musk, very riled up. The tech tycoon posted, Olson Kennedy is evil. Author J.K. Rowling of the Harry Potter franchise, who's been quite critical of the transgender movement, posted, quote, we must not publish a study that says we're harming children because people who say we're harming children will use the study as evidence that we're harming children, which might make it difficult for us to continue harming children.
Wow. I mean, come on. It's so, I mean, she just said the best thing, J.K. Rowling. It's like, we're not going to release it because we don't want you to know this is actually harming children. Because why are we doing it? So why do you think, after finding out that a study of giving puberty blockers, which we all knew it. I don't care. You don't need any medical advice to know that. You can probably just kind of eventually start figuring it out. Why would you block puberty? Okay, the only reason I thought maybe it was a good idea because, I just thought maybe kids aren't going to struggle. Then as I got a little bit more grounded around it, I was like, but kids have to struggle. And you can't tell a kid that they can change their sex when that's actually impossible to do. So, once you ground yourself around it, you just think, why would you do that to a child? So it's so true what JK just said. So we don't want to release a study because we don't want people to weaponize it. And we don't want people to know that you're going to hurt kids, because why would we want people to know you're going to hurt kids? And then we couldn't continue to do this experiment, because it's an experiment that doesn't work. And an experiment that was funded by the United States government with $10 million, which is a lot of money, that came out the other side that Dr. Olson wasn't happy to hear. And now Dr. Olson is not sharing the actual study results. I mean, I'm gonna leave you with this. What do you think? Do you think this doctor should lose their license? Because I do. Do you think that this study should be shut down now? Do you think, there's one thing I want to say here right before I let you go, because there's this very important part of this. They're in really good shape when they came in, and they're in really good shape after 2 years, said Dr. Olson, which runs the country's largest youth gender clinic at the Children's Hospital in Los Angeles. That conclusion seemed to contradict an earlier description of the group in which Dr. Olson Kennedy and her colleagues noted that 1/4 of the adolescents were depressed or before treatment. Remember, the reason I want to read that to you is, remember what the trope they keep saying? Remember? Do you want a dead daughter or a live son? Okay, they keep using that. Yet now Dr. Olson is saying, well, they came in with great feelings and they left with, so she's full on contradicting herself, and that whole they'll off themselves if you don't give it to them doesn't apply now. It literally doesn't apply, because she's saying they came in with great well-being. So then they left. So this whole thing is a mess, and it doesn't make any sense at all. And it was a 9-year study. That's a long study. It says in the 9 years since the study was funded by the National Institute of Health, and as medical care for this small group of adolescents became a searing issue in American politics, Dr. Olson Kennedy's team has not published the data. Asked why, she said the findings might fuel the kind of political attacks that have led to bans of youth gender treatments in more than 20 states. So really, she's biased, and she just has she doesn't care. She doesn't care about those kids, because if she actually cared about those kids, she would have released the study and found out that doing this to children is not a good thing. Thanks so much for watching. I really, really appreciate you guys so much. This is just the whole house of cards is falling. The whole house of cards of gender affirming care is falling. But we cannot forget, there's a lot of young people who will be damaged by this. And it's so sad to me that it's come to this. Thanks again. Have a beautiful, awesome day. And thanks for subscribing and liking and getting this out there to somebody who might need to see it. Have a beautiful day. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. And so today we're going to talk about no nipples. I mean, seriously, no nipples. Now, that being said, this is all my opinion as a person who transitioned a long time ago in order to look like a man. So I just want to say this. You can do whatever you need to do with your body. I completely understand that. But that's, to me, different than what a transsexual does. So let's get into this. But before that, I always like that you like and subscribe and help this channel move forward, because without you, I cannot do this. So today I have picked out some videos that I feel kind of represent what I am a little bit concerned about. And I think a lot of us are concerned about in the trans community, but it seems like nobody really wants to talk about these kinds of things. So with that, let's start with this first video that I found.
There were 3 main reasons that I decided to go with no nipples when I had top surgery. First, and the most important, being that I just like the way it looks. I think it's cool. I think of it as a body mod more than anything else, and a pretty unique one at that. I also don't really care to ever be stealth, so that wasn't really a concern for me. The second big one was to do with the surgery itself and the healing process. I have quite a bit of anxiety about surgery and medical procedures, and opting out of getting my nipples reattached was only going to make the process easier. The third biggest one, funny enough, was for the sake of having like uninterrupted tattoo space. I don't have any specific plans, but I plan on being very heavily tattooed one day, and it's nice to have that just like blank canvas. This might be getting a little personal, but it is a concern for some people. I didn't really care for my nipples before. I didn't dislike them, I didn't care. And I didn't really like nipple sensation, which isn't something that's even guaranteed to have after top surgery, but I didn't really care for it before, so I really wouldn't have cared for it after. But the biggest reason, again, and the most important, is that I just like it. I think it looks cool and wacky and weird.
So the person said everything I have always said. Body modification. This person said it right there. They want it because it's body modification. It has nothing to do with being a transsexual at all. It has nothing to do with having gender dysphoria, having any of that stuff. It has to do with this person wants to look weird and wacky and different. And honestly, I have no issues with that, especially if you're an adult. I don't know how old you are, but especially if you're an adult, you can do whatever you need to do with your own body. But I wish more people in that trans mask community would be more honest about the difference between a person like myself, who is a transsexual, who has gender dysphoria and wants to look and act and walk the world as male as possible, including my chest. So that being said, this is where I want to show you the difference between a transsexual man and a trans mask, or somebody who's doing body modification and choosing to not have nipples. I still have a little bit concern with why so many young people are not, but he also said that he's never going to be stealth, which, if you don't know what that means, he's just not going to be worried that people know that this person is a biological female and doesn't care that people know that they are trans mask or any of that stuff. I actually do care about that. So that being said, that's why I wanted to open with this one, because I think it's very important that you see that at least this person is being honest about body modification, and that it's not necessarily that they have the specific kind of gender dysphoria where you want to not be a female anymore and you want to live your life as a male. The next thing I wanted to bring up here is this surgeon, and he's all over TikTok. And so let's listen to what he says, and then let me just comment on this. So here we go.
Hi, Dr. Tony here. And the question is, do I have to have nipples after chest reconstruction? I have several patients that have elected not to have nipples, and they have a multitude of reasons. But whatever the reason, doesn't really matter. It's your body, and it's your communication with your surgeon that will allow you to determine what your best options are for the results that you want. Some of my patients are planning a large tattooed chest piece to cover up the incision, and obviously nipples will disrupt that, and they're not particularly interested in nipples or the sensation. A lot of patients just don't want the nipple wrinkle. They have tight t-shirts and they've got this thing that pops out of them, and they just don't like that. They want a perfectly smooth chest, especially when they're wearing a tight t-shirt. And again, if they decide they want nipples later, there are tattoo artists, they're magnificent. They can create a three-dimensional nipple where if you're just standing across the table from one another, you would never know they were tattooed on. Regardless, there are many options available to you if you just don't want nipples.
I want to say this doctor is all over TikTok, sort of pushing this non-binary, if you don't know the surgeries, basically nullification surgeries, where you can also not have genitals, you cannot have a penis or a vagina, and you cannot have nipples. So basically people are gender nullifying themselves, which means that they don't want to be a man or they don't want to be a woman. So they're having surgery so they look sort of like a Ken doll on some level, which I have a little bit of concern with. Secondly, I wonder if these doctors are asking these patients for any type of therapy, letter. So here I'm going to sound old because I am, but I came through a very safe system. And for me to get my top surgery, I had to bring my surgeon, okay, a letter from my therapist stating that they believe that I have gender dysphoria and that we can move forward with the surgery. It was a whole system that I went through in order to keep me safe and sane on some level. I will probably guess to you that none of these people have brought a letter to the surgeon. I also don't know how old a lot of these young people are. They look pretty young to me. They look in their early 20s, and some of them even look younger than that to me. And so I'm not really sure if you can make such a huge life-changing choice as not to put nipples on. And so when you say to me that some people just don't like their nipples, I wonder why you don't like your nipples. And when the doctor also says, well, they don't care to have any, it's an erogenous zone, okay? Or I don't like the way they feel. I don't like, well, there's a reason why. Let's talk about why you don't like that, okay? Instead of just saying, okay, well, let's just get rid of it. You know, even for me, when I was going through therapy, there's a reason why I didn't like to be this way. And we had to get down to why that was. And at 30, could I make the choice to make this irreversible transition here? So what I'm trying to get at here is that I do agree that you should be able to make these choices, but I wonder how the long-term effects of not having nipples are going to affect you when you become 30 and 40 years old. Third, tattooing nipples on is not the same as having nipples. And most of the people that I found on TikTok all stated that they just didn't want to deal with the long process of recovery. And that also says something to me. That means to me, like, you're just not committed to taking on this. Is a whole commitment here of taking on the long-term recovery. It's not only a physical recovery, it's a mental recovery as well. So I found this next one here.
Hi friends, just wanted to let you know that it's been about 5 months since I had my surgery, my top surgery with Dr. Melissa Johnson, and I couldn't be more excited with how my results are turning out. I honestly don't do much for scar care because I can hardly take care of myself most days.
Okay, that one I was a little bit concerned with because they're even admitting that they even can't take care of themselves most days. And I will be a little judgmental about the way this looks. This is not a normal way. That's why I have to show you that it's so people like myself, okay, we really wanted to have chests so that we could walk around with our shirt and no one stared at us. That was a huge part of dysphoria, is when people stare at you. Can they tell if you're a man or a woman? That's the difference between people who are doing this stuff and people like myself who want to blend into society. You're never going to blend into society. People are always going to stare at you when you take your top off. And the fact that you even stated that you can't even take care of yourself most days, yet you're doing something like this to your body, that has me concerned. Do you think this person even has mental health care? I will probably bet you no, they do not. This one I found next, I think is a very important part of this conversation. So let me bring this up.
Okay, don't fight me on this because I know a lot of you trans like to tussle, but in my opinion, everyone's getting top surgery. Everyone's getting top surgery now, right? No one's gonna say it or ask the question, so I might as well. Is this for clout, especially for social media, or is this really what you guys want to do? Now, I'm not saying to all people, just some people, but it feels like it's starting to be a trend. Everyone's doing it now. So I'm just asking the question.
Well, I found that to be very interesting because I understand that I come from a different generation and I don't want to be judgmental, but sometimes I need to be judgmental in order to stop the madness. This youngster is young and connected to that community, and this youngster said everything a lot of us want to say. Is this only happening because you're on TikTok and you get a big following? That's my concern. What happens when all of this goes away? And what happens when you decide, oops, maybe I made a mistake? Whose fault is that? Is it the fault of the community and elders like myself for not saying, hold up here, wait a minute. You need to distinguish between body modification and gender dysphoria. They're two different things. So the last one I want to bring up here is this guy because I think it's very important. Or I don't know, actually, even if they identify as male or female. I don't know anymore. I'm so confused. So the trans mask people are sometimes non-binary and whatever. So let's just move on here.
So a lot of folks have been asking me why I decided to not keep my nipples, and I wanted to talk about it today in case anybody's thinking about it for their top surgery. The first reason is that the source of a lot of my chest dysphoria came from my nipples showing through my shirt, and I just didn't want to deal with that in any form post-top surgery. The second reason is that although surgeons do their absolute best to make sure everything's symmetrical and aligned, I felt that if my nipples turned out a little bit lopsided or off, I would have been disappointed, and that risk just wasn't worth it to me personally. The third reason is that I'm neurodivergent, and I was really worried about what recovery would look like for me, sensory-wise, and for many other reasons like changes in my routine, etc. So I really wanted my recovery to be as smooth and as easy as possible. The last reason is that I realized the pressure to keep my nipples was centered around societal norms and expectations, and I really just wanted to do what felt best for me and not everyone else.
Well, just said it. You see that? He, she, they did not want to conform to societal norms. And that's the difference between them and me as a transsexual. I do want to, okay? It's important for me to do that. So again, we need to distinguish the difference. I also am a little concerned that many of these youngsters are neurodivergent. Okay, this is why we need to have mental health care before we let people move forward with doing surgery that is irreversible. I don't care if you tell me you can tattoo your nipples on. That is literally completely different than having nipples. And how do you even know later on in your life that is something that you might want to do? What if you decide to detransition? There's so many layers to this, and it's why you need to go through a certain system before you take such a drastic change in your life. Okay, I know I'm going to get pushback for this video. There is no doubt about it in my mind. Bring it on. You're more than welcome to push back on me, which I really value the fact that hopefully you and I can have conversation in order so that we can separate and that we're not lumped in together as the same, because I am not the same and I do not want to be lumped into this. And I'm concerned for a generation of young people who are doing irreversible things to their bodies and no one's stopping them.